Hello, my name is Marquita Muhammad. I am a middle school science teacher here at Katherine Johnson Technology Magnet Academy, located in DeSoto, Texas. And I'll be discussing with you all my topic, Bridging the Science Gap with Coding Apps. And we'll start off with a little bit about me. As you can see, I'm very big on family. I first and foremost want to acknowledge my great grandmother who raised me, who's at the top of the photo. And you'll see my children, grandchildren, my husband. Also in the fall, I was inducted into Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, and I graduated last year from UNT. I am currently an Fulbright Ambassador for Teacher for Global Classrooms, and I am also a pre-law mentee with the Bridge Builders Esquire. And one of my favorite quotes is to be fearless in the pursuit of what sets your soul on fire. And to me, that simply means that if you have a desire, that you drive for the prize and don't let anyone hinder you. So that's about me. Next, I'm going to discuss the overview of my goals. I have 3 goals: leadership, district, and personal. And on my leadership goal, my students focused on food scarcity and sustainability. My district goal focused on bridging the science gap with coding apps, which I'll go into further detail later on. And lastly, we have my personal goal, which is using mixed reality in the science classroom. Now, for my first goal, leadership innovation, the students, my leadership team rather, which is composed of my students, were selected to identify a local issue in our community, and they based it around the current situation, which is the pandemic. So they came up with ideas for different issues, and they came together and collaborated and selected food scarcity and sustainability. And what that simply means was they were poised with the issue or problem of a lack of food in grocery stores when the pandemic first occurred. And so the demand was high for food, but the stores were like bare. And so people were having to go out and eat a lot of fast food, which the students determined was not healthy. So they were like thinking, okay, so what can we do? And they say sustainability. So of course, sustainability, the first thing we would think of would be like growing our own crops, which they thought of. Not only growing crops, but they also thought about how neighbors in the community could share food or barter food. But what I thought was neat was that they also thought about restaurants. When restaurants, like at the end of the restaurant hours, how they have extra food left over and they would just throw it away. Well, the students decided, well, instead of throwing it away, why don't they sell it to customers for a discounted price? So they thought of that idea. Then they came up with another idea. Well, how do we get that out, or how do we market that? So they thought about creating an app. So they then researched various different apps to determine which app would be best to suit that issue and solution. And they also did a presentation which included their research, their proposed solutions, and recommendations. So that was the leadership and innovation project that we completed. Next, we have my district goal, which is bridging the science gap with coding apps, which the students completed a pre and post test on a TIC that they typically test low on, which was dealing with organisms and environments. And then they were introduced to a component of STEM scopes that we use for science, which is coding. And they were to create an app that dealt with the TIC that they tested low in. They were to identify a species, organism, community, ecosystem, and they also brought in the food chain, the food web, and the flow of energy. And then they also included what would happen if an animal, organism or species became depleted. So that was the idea for their apps that you'll see coming up soon. So that was a district goal. Next, we have the personal goal, which is using mixed reality in the science classroom, which is still in progress. And this particular goal, I researched and studied about augmented and virtual reality, which is combined to make mixed reality. And basically, I was trying to find out how using mixed reality helps students with our current situation, helps students retain scientific content. So that's what I'm working on. It's still in progress, and I'm currently still trying to seek funding for about 3 to 4 additional VR headsets. And also, once the project is complete, I will be providing professional development for other teachers in this area. Next is my GPS poster, which, as stated earlier, is Bridging the Science Gap with Coding Apps, where I discussed research, question, and rationale, research, context and participants, method, data, results, discussion, implication for future action. And I'm going to go into further detail on each component. The first one, which is research, question, and rationale. My question was, what impact does coding have on 6th grade students' science content retention? The goal for 6th grade students to understand and retain scientific knowledge to increase interest in the computer science field by developing an app to gamify a science concept. And my rationale was to increase student content knowledge by providing them with virtual hands-on opportunities to the underrepresented 6th grade students and to equip them with advanced technical skills. Next is my research, and basically the research discussed how coding could be used across all disciplines, and it encompasses computational thinking, which is also fundamental, and it also helps with problem-solving skills and daily tasks. Context and participants. The participants, let me start off with my campus. My campus, as the name implies, is a technology campus, which means that kindergarten through 5th grade, all students must take coding and robotics. And once they get into middle school, it becomes an elective. But once they receive courses or once it's brought to them in kindergarten through 5th grade, it's kind of like it increases their interest. So when they get to middle school, it carries on from not only middle school, but also to high school and college and to a career in the technology field. Our campus is currently a Title I campus, and also the population in the district is over 98% underrepresented group in the field of computer science. And my sample included my 6th grade students, which is a total of 55 students, and that included 20 in person and 35 remote learners. So that was kind of like half and half. At the bottom, you'll see my graphs. I have my ethnicities listed as well as my genders. Next is my methods. We met twice a week and the students worked on their coding. The on-campus or in-person students, I was able to pull them into my classroom and kind of work with them in small group and one-on-one. My data. As I stated earlier, composed of a survey. It was a 5-question pre and post test on ecosystems and environments. I also did a survey conducting information on previous and prior experience for coding as well as app creation. And I found out that 71% of students had prior coding experience because, of course, they were at my campus, and only 15% had previous knowledge creating an app, though. Listed at the bottom of the chart, I have the dates that we met as well as the topics that were discussed and addressed. My results showed an increase on the pre and post test of 73% to 88%, and that could be mostly in part due to me having the 35 students who are off campus. I was not able to work with them in small groups or one-on-one. Also, the students learned how to use JavaScript programming language. Not only were they creating apps, but they were not, instead of using blocks, they were using JavaScript. So they were actually programming. And one of the students actually who was not too interested in doing it, once he got to doing it, he stated how it was actually fun. Okay, I also have an app, and the app will give you a student discussing one of her apps that she created. Discussion. We talked about how coding is, as today, is pretty much seen in all fields of careers and disciplines, and how it's important to not only teach it, but to include it cross-curricular in all content for students who are in school, because it helps them with computational thinking and problem-solving skills. Implication for future action. We talked about completing an introduction overview with students in 2 to 3 sessions to secure student understanding, and to provide them with student-made examples, which I have included with the app at the bottom, and to encourage students to work in pairs collaboratively so that they can troubleshoot each other's work, and also for teachers to consider embedding coding into their daily curriculum. Challenges. I had lots of challenges, starting with obtaining district approval for the program, to losing a couple of my pets. One was my pet rabbit, which we've had for the campus. I had her since she was a baby and for about 10 years. And then my puppy. Well, he's not a puppy. He was a dog. I had him for like 7 years. So I lost both of them in the last few months. And I wish I had known. District requirements were incorporating classroom resources, that I'll be moving and selling my home, and how to manage my time better with the given obstacles. Looking to the future, I plan to support other teachers to understand the connection and importance of coding in their curriculum, to extend my current partnerships to provide equitable opportunities with students, and to continue my personal growth in technological pedagogy, which simply means every year I try to attend as many workshops as I can to make sure I'm current with the latest trends in technology and technological advances. And lastly, to facilitate workshops in coding for teachers. And that's it. Thank you, and thanks for attending, and I look forward to your feedback.